This is Mindfulness with Richard Clarke. I focus on mindfulness meditation. Listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Welcome. Today, I'm going to talk about mindfulness meditation and spiritual discrimination. What changes and what does not? Mindfulness meditation offers a unique lens through which we can explore ourselves, spiritual discrimination, and the sense of separation that arises when we perceive ourselves as distinct and different from others. At its core, mindfulness invites us to examine the nature of our thoughts and feelings without attaching to them, seeing into what is always changing, and then noticing what remains constant in our experience. In mindfulness, we observe the ebb and flow of thoughts, emotions, and sensations. These are ever shifting aspects of our human experience. They come and go. Spiritual discrimination comes from noticing these changes, watching the mind, categorizing, judging, and comparing. One moment, we might feel a sense of connection to others. The next, a thought of judgment or separation surfaces. Mindfulness teaches us to witness these fluctuations with curiosity rather than reacting to them. Discrimination is first noticing that everything changes. What does not change, however, is the underlying awareness in which all these experiences occur. This awareness, this always present knowingness, is constant, unshaken by beliefs, identities, or the stories we tell ourselves. This is the other element of spiritual discrimination, noticing what does not change. Mindfulness meditation helps us recognize the stable ground beneath the turbulence of the mind. When you rest in this awareness, the distinctions between others that you react to lose their power. You begin to see that the same awareness shines in all beings, regardless of external differences. Practicing mindfulness can often also soften the judgments and biases that fuel your ideas. For example, you might notice how certain thoughts about others trigger feelings of superiority or defensiveness. By staying present with these feelings without acting on them, you create space for compassion to arise. Over time, this practice can dissolve the barriers that separate us from them. To make this practical, try incorporating a simple mindfulness exercise into your daily life. When you find yourself forming opinions about someone else's beliefs or thoughts, pause and take 3 deep breaths. Notice the thoughts and emotions that arise, but don't engage in them. Instead, direct your attention to the sensation of the breath moving in and out. Notice what within you does not change. As you do this, remind yourself that beneath the surface differences, the same awareness is in both of you. So mindfulness doesn't aim to eliminate differences, but to transform how we relate to them. By recognizing the unchanging essence within ourselves and others, we can approach diversity with respect and openness. What changes the thoughts and judgments can be observed and let go. What does not change, the awareness that connects us becomes a foundation for understanding and harmony. So now we'll have a guided meditation on what changes and what does not. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and take a deep breath in. As you exhale, allow your body to relax. Let go of any tension in your shoulders, jaw, and hands. Bring your attention to the natural rhythm of your breath. Feel the air entering and leaving your nostrils. Feel your lungs expand and contract. Let this rhythm anchor you to the present moment. Begin to notice the thoughts and feelings that come and go, that go by. Observe them as if they were clouds passing through the sky. Recognize how these thoughts shift and change, never saying the same. Now, shift your awareness, your attention to the awareness in which these thoughts arise. It's like an empty space. Notice how this awareness does not change. It is steady and constant, always present. Now bring to mind a moment when you felt judgment or separation towards someone with different ideas or beliefs. Notice the feelings this brings up, but don't act on them. Simply observe. What happened to the clear, peaceful mind? Imagine this person also has an awareness within them, the same unchanging essence that you have just touched. Allow yourself to rest in the understanding that this awareness connects all beings. The differences are only on the surface. And now bring your attention back to the sensation of your breath. And wiggle your fingers and toes and get back into your space. And when you're ready, open your eyes and carry this sense of connection and stability as you move through your day. So, Barley, how was your meditation last week?
Better, a little better. I was able to get back to doing my yoga asanas, which
Yes,
makes me
good.
feel calmer. And I'm following Carol's idea about watching more YouTube
Mm-hmm.
videos about that. So, and I like those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And certainly they help keep your mind oriented within and on what you're doing, and so they can help.
yeah, yeah.
And it's to on the way to getting your mind quiet, getting the mind, kind of occupied with something that's not your ordinary everyday stuff is on the way to getting your mind quiet.
Yes.
How about you, Joyce?
Well, once we got home on Monday, it's been easier for me to get back into, doing a little bit of meditation, maybe in the morning or at night. It's, much easier when you're at home and your regular schedule. So it has been good.
Mm-hmm. There for me and for a lot of people, the routine really helps.
Hmm.
And, I try to tell you to turn meditation into a habit, and it's hard to turn it into a habit when you're out of your regular routine.
That is true. Very true.
Well, good. And again, I congratulate you both for continuing to stay with it and kind of make time and space in your life for your own internal peace and growth. It's a big deal. Okay, so now we're going to have another Alan Watts video, and I'm sorry, I'm enjoying these. I realize they're probably making you work more than the cute little Zen stories, but
we think of the universe as a system of energy. And the energy flows in such a way as in a rock to act hard, and in water to act liquid, and in air to act pretty soft and gassy, so all the way around. Everything is patterned of energy. And I don't want you to think of the words pattern of energy as if the pattern were one thing and the energy another. As if a pattern were a thing made of something called energy. Energy and pattern are the same thing, because you will never find energy not in a pattern, or a pattern that is not energy. And if these things are inextricably associated, you can be sure there's some sort of conspiracy underneath the whole thing, and that they're really one. So then, the course of the world is a constant flow. I used the analogy last night of each person being like a whirlpool in a stream. Now you see the form of a whirlpool, as you watch it, remains fairly constant. But the water, it never stays in it, you see. So in exactly the same way, all things and all people, all plants and whatsoever there is a form of constant change. It's changing perpetually, but it's changing in a certain dance. And the form of the dance remains constant until you get bored with it or it falls apart. And you can experience yourself as a whirlpool of energy in a stream, which is the Tao, which is the total course of nature, the energy field of the whole cosmos. But you do have here, you see, the idea of an intelligence that is rhythmic, that goes on and stops, that pulses. In one chapter of the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu says this of the Tao: "The great Tao flows everywhere, both to the left and to the right. It loves and nourishes all things, but does not lord it over them. And when meritorious consequences arise, or when merits are accomplished, it lays no claim to them." Now you see, the Western God, in the popular literature at any rate, is always laying claim to things. People bow down before the Lord and say, any good that I have done is of you, and all the evil I have done is of me. And you, God, are to be thanked for everything. You have given us this, you have given us that, you have given us the other, and so on. And so you feel that the Lord is sitting up there and receiving all these compliments, just like the Oriental potentate. He may receive them very graciously, but nevertheless, these compliments are definitely in order. Now, for the Taoist philosophy, you have to get used to the idea of thinking of nature as a system which has no boss. That's absolutely fundamental. And that's why the word for nature, you see, is ziran, or what is so of itself. It's almost automatic, except that the word automatic in English has a mechanical feel. But in the same way as your heart beats without your having to govern it, it does it of itself. So the Taoist view of the universe is that everything happens by itself. And yet just because everything happens of itself and you leave it alone and don't try to push it around, it's orderly. And yet the thing is, you see, the more you let go, the more things begin to work. This is one of those interesting paradoxes of which Taoism is full. So the world is seen as a system in which all the pairs of opposites and all such symbiotic group relationships, as you get with bees and flowers, in groups and out groups, heads and tails of cats, eggs and birds, arise mutually. That simply means that they are aspects of one and the same pattern. And it comes into being together. And so, insofar as any manifestation of nature is symptomatic of nature, it shows us that the whole is expressed here in a, I won't say a part, because I don't regard individuals as parts of nature. Individuals are all expressions of nature. But going back, the whole universe depends on the temporal existence of every single one of its expressions. That is to say, the mutual interpenetration of all things and events. Just in the same way as a figure brings out a background, and a background is necessary for bringing out a figure. It is mutuality where there is an accord to move together like dancers who are wonderfully partnered so that you don't know which one is leading and which one is following. They just read each other's minds. And that's how you act in concord with your environment. You arise together, not necessarily in time. It may start long before you arrive, just as the tree is growing before it produces any fruit. But fruit is implied in the tree. So people are implied in the cosmos. And so, as it were, you're there from the beginning by implication, just as the apple is implicit in the apple tree. Now, when you find a relationship like that, you see, where the two aspects of it, the great and the small, the vast and long, and the little and short, and you don't find one without the other, then you know this is not a separation, but a union, where what we call the long is one end of the same energy pattern of which short is the other end. The ocean, it keeps waving. And the waves come and the waves go, but the ocean keeps on waving. Well, we are similarly like that. No ocean without waves, you know. It's a dynamic system, it's moving. And so we are the universe waving. Each one of us is it waving in a particular way. So what you do, if you want to find that out, is you have to, what shall I say, deepen your consciousness. You have to go down to its roots and discover the point where it ceases to be purely you, where it ceases to be simply the system of memories and habits that you call your ego. And underneath that system, which is, as it were, the crest of the wave, deep down underneath that is the huge force of the ocean, which is present in you at all times, operating at the basis of your consciousness, which is at the same time the basis of your physical energy, muscular power, and indeed existence at all. It's as if, you see, there was, according to certain cosmological theories today, a primordial explosion which blew up and created the universe. And you know how it is when you take a bottle of ink and you throw it at a whitewashed wall, smash like that, and it goes splat all over the place. There's a big blob in the center. And then as it goes out, it gets all sorts of little curlicues and wiggles. So you see, the cosmic explosion is still happening. It takes a long time from that big essential bang for the whole thing to go whoosh. It takes billions of years for it to happen, and it's still happening. And we're the little curlicues out on the edge. See? And we're connected. We are part of the central explosion that originally happened. That, in a certain sense, is in you. You're still manifesting it, you see? So if your mind awakens, you suddenly see all your friends sitting around you looking incredibly ancient. I don't mean in the sense of old and haggard, but like angels, like eternal beings who were always there from the beginning.
Okay, and now we'll take some time for ourselves to meditate. Mindfulness is present moment awareness, paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. Fully receive whatever is experienced, then let it go. All right. Now our chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. All right. At the end of our long meditation, I don't say wiggle your fingers and toes, but I could. It's the same thing. You got to return, especially
I
if it
do.
was a good meditation.
I always do wiggle my toes. There's something about that that wakes you up. Sometimes.
It makes you feel grounded, huh?
Yes.
Okay. And still, what I want you to take from this session is to just notice that, there's everything changes out there, but there's something that doesn't. It's something that knows all those changes, but it doesn't change. Have you ever changed on the inside?
No, not on the inside. And I like what the speaker said, about that even if you weren't somewhere at the beginning, the promise of you was there at the beginning, like the promise of the apple in the tree. I really like that.
Anyway, I've been enjoying these Alan Watts videos. And so I'll inflict them on you guys. So anyway,
Did
have
we?
good meditation and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Right. Thank you.